So after 6, generally, I'm probably wasting my time. So I said to Tom, look, I don't think I can help her. Um, you know, I don't think I should come anymore. Tom got all upset and he started pointing the finger at me. The doctor said you would help. So next week I turned up. I kept doing this for 12 weeks. On the 12th week, the magic happened. She started crying. I was crying a bit too because I get a little bit emotional about this because the story is very emotional because, you imagine this woman all crunched up with her face and dribble, 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 and suddenly she starts crying and the face is popping out in front of us. It's all magical. And so I was all taken aback. We were all taken aback. And instead of being there for my usual 20 minutes to half an hour, I was there for about an hour and a half. And we had our arms around each other, to just, just comforting each other.
Hey, and welcome back. This is Pat Mesiti's best-selling author podcast. Mr. Paul G. O'Connor is here, and he is one of the co-authors of The Path to a New You, and his website is enhancedwellness.kiwi/services. And Paul is all about energy therapies and all about healing, and he is going to tell us how we have these alternative remedies or alternative ways to take care of things like dizziness, back pain, shoulder pain, carpal tunnel, and so much more. So Paul will educate us and tell us about the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. Paul, glad to be speaking with you.
Yeah, good morning, Robert.
Glad to see you. So we introduced you a little bit, but what did I leave out, or what would you like to add? What currently has you passionate, excited, and energized?
I've got no idea. Look, I'll tell you what I'd like to see for the future. You know about rescue breathing? Do you have that in America, rescue breathing?
Haven't
Mouth to
heard of
mouth,
this. Oh,
mouth
yeah,
to
yeah.
mouth,
We call it CPR. Yeah, mouth-to-mouth
CPR.
resuscitation, of course.
Yeah. Is it in the schools in America?
It's been so many years, but I think they taught it at some point.
Right. Well, I've got something that I'd like to have in the schools all over the world. It's, you know how girls develop problems in the breast?
Sure.
Yeah. That is so ridiculously easy to prevent because we all have these magic buttons, and I call them magic memory buttons because this is the memory area, around your breast.
Okay.
And this simple process of resetting these buttons is just ridiculous. And if it was taught from day one in all the schools, everyone would grow up, and you wouldn't have any of these breast issues that are happening right throughout. Because I mean, it's major in New Zealand. I'm told it's major in Australia. I don't know what it's like in America. You know, them developing lumps and that sort of thing in their breasts. I don't know what it's like in America.
I think there's all sorts of cases. I think it's very common.
Yeah, well, if the girls were taught how to treat each other, and they grew up with it, it would be like night and day. Just like we're doing the CPR in your schools, because that must have saved countless lives at CPR. And my magic memory reset buttons could be doing the same for people with their breasts.
So tell us about it. What are these magic memory reset buttons all about?
Well, your body, all over your body, you've got I call them switches, and for the memory area, they're located above the nipple and below the nipple.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of turning them on and turning them off.
And how is that done?
Well, if I could demonstrate with me, here is A and there's B. Isn't that
Okay.
simple?
Sounds simple.
Yeah, but it works a lot better because everybody has these, and they how you actually locate them exactly. It's nothing to do with this area. With shall we say the nipples. You actually locate them measuring an arm that's lying beside the breast. So that arm gives you the aiming points. You understand? So there's your locator is the arm, like so, and that's lying beside the breast.
Okay.
So if people learn that as children and they grow up, the kids will go home and teach mum.
And so say the kids located the button, they go home, they tell mom, like what's mom supposed to do? Is this like a daily activity? Is this
No,
preventative? What's the activity?
well, it's like a CPR thing. You'd need it. You'd use it if required.
Okay.
I've used it with. I had a lady who presented with lumps, and she had lumps, and she came every week, just once a week, and we reset them. Within 3 months, the lumps had disappeared, and they couldn't. And she went to the doctor to have them checked, and they couldn't find um, any evidence of there being any problem there.
That's amazing. And it's good to know that this sort of service exists, right? Where someone might say, well, of course, I'll still go to the doctor, but then in the pursuit of the different ways to take care of my problems, they can look into someone like you. And what is it exactly that you do? We've thrown out some of these terms like energy and healing. Like, what is your job title and what service do you provide?
no, no idea. It's just that if someone presents, um, I I have to evaluate them or check them out to see first of all whether I can help them. If I can, then I ask. I have a method of using the their body's muscles to actually tell me what to do, and
Amazing.
it's just a yes and no process. But again, it's something that I've just developed over the years.
And so when people come to you, what are their usual aches and pains? What are their problems?
90% are sore backs.
Okay.
Yeah. Although, yeah, it varies. People hear about me, and so, and of course, something like this is treated with skepticism. But again, if the results speak for themselves,
Well, I'm here to hear about your results. And so someone comes to you, they have back pain. Have they tried usually like chiropractor, massage therapist, things like that already?
yeah, yeah, and well, it just depends if they have. Um, and if that particular therapist is addressing the wrong area, it's only going to relieve it temporarily. But a lot of back problems are actually because of a problem in the neck. So if you can actually fix the problem rather than, shall we say, the symptom, they're a lot happier because if the problem's in the neck and you can actually correct the neck, the pain goes away. But having said that, if you just address the pain in the back, oh yeah, that's better. Thanks very much. Off they go. Well, the pain's going to return because the real problem hasn't been addressed.
And I can see how that would be tricky, how it's tempting to just treat the symptom because that keeps some of these people in business, right? They have the repeat return customers versus just getting the problem fixed. And so someone comes to you and they say, okay, well, I have this back pain, and then you can work your technique and figure out perhaps it's in the neck or some other area. What is your training and your certification?
How do you get certified for something that's a bit flaky?
You tell me.
Well, there's no certification for something like this because it's it presents as being flaky. But again, having said that, I'll tell you a little story. Years ago, a politician in New Zealand sent a message around uh, everywhere wanting ideas for New Zealand. I sent a submission in, and the submission I wanted to actually address asthma. Asthma is a major problem all through the world. Anyway, the bureaucrat who picked up this the submission, he had known about me because I'd helped his neighbour's daughter who had major asthma. Well, she didn't have any asthma symptoms anymore. You're not allowed to say you can cure anything. You can say they're symptom free. So anyway, he knew that the neighbour's daughter was no longer suffering from asthma symptoms. So he actually thought, oh, well, maybe we can do something with this. So he summoned the two doctors in Gisborne. One was a medical officer of health, and another one was a man called Patrick McHugh. And he summoned them, and we and me, and we the four of us sat down, and he wanted their opinion on my work. Now Patrick McHugh knew about me because he had actually so I already had, shall we say, a foot in the door because of Dr. Patrick McHugh. But these two doctors at the time were wanting to get their name up in lights for research. But they said, look, Paul, you can't do asthma because Patrick's doing a study on asthma called Buteyko, and it'll interfere with that study. What we'd like you to do is stroke, right? And the stroke is a very difficult one to address, very difficult, because there's all sorts of pathways in the brain that have been shut down. Anyway, they asked me if I was willing to give it a go. I said, well, I had nothing to lose and everything to win, so I said, yeah, okay. They sent me around to the ex-politician of Gisborne. Her name was Esme Tombleson. Esme had had a major stroke some time before, and her face was like you ever seen a can that's all been crushed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how her face was. The mouth was almost vertical rather than horizontal, and here's the face all crunched up. And they sent me around there to help her out, just to see whether I was any good. So every week I used to go there and treat Esme. And after 6 weeks, nothing was happening. So I said to Esme, well, I couldn't really say much to her because she wasn't really responsive. She just used to slur and spit, dribble, 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 But I said to her caregiver husband, Tom, I said, look, Tom, I think I'm wasting my time. Because, as a, shall we say, a natural therapist, you've got to prove to the world that you're not out there, just to try and take their money. So after 6, generally, I'm probably wasting my time. So I said to Tom, look, I don't think I can help her. I don't think I should come anymore. Tom got all upset and he started pointing the finger at me. The doctor said you would help. So next week I turned up. I kept doing this for 12 weeks. On the 12th week, the magic happened. She started crying. I was crying a bit too because I get a little bit emotional about this because this story is very emotional because, you imagine this woman all crunched up with her face and dribble, 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 and suddenly she starts crying, and the face is popping out in front of us. It's all magical, and so I was all taken aback. We were all taken aback, and instead of being there for my usual 20 minutes to half an hour, I was there for about an hour and a half, and we had our arms around each other, to just just comforting each other, and yeah, so that's when it all started happening. Well, as it turned out, Esme then she had given money to these doctors for a stroke trial as such, because she believed that this should be part of normal treatment of stroke. Because the normal treatment of stroke is you get physiotherapy, and you know what, Robert, the physiotherapy has never ever been researched for stroke ever, but that's how it's evolved. Anyway, a long story short, Esme became, shall we say, my fairy godmother, and she sent me all around the world to um, to develop my skills and learn more about myself. And so whenever I heard about something or found out about something, I'd tell Esme, and Esme uh, would say to me, "Well, get me the cost, what's going to cost me, etc., etc." And so I used to present her with wherever I was going to, and the costs, and she would fund it. And yeah, um, it, she ended up sending me over to a place called New Haven. That's over your way, New Haven. You heard about it? It's in Connecticut.
I have yes, New Haven, Connecticut. Yes.
Yeah. There's a flash school over there called Yale, and that's where I went to present the results of that stroke trial.
Very
Mm.
cool.
Yeah. Well, at the time I was just, but see, since then I've evolved. I've been learning more about myself and my skills and how to hone them. You know what I mean? So back then I was, shall we say, raw, even though I've been doing stuff. These days I've I've learned more how to hone my skills better, and how to actually, shall we say, read presenting bodies. So yeah, but there's no certification, or there's no formal process for something like this. So
Right.
as such, I can't get government funding or anything like that. But yet, you know, with this magic memory reset button, if we could do some trials, then they could see how well it works, and then we could get something like that in the schools. And if something like that is so successful, every country would copy it.
Right. You just need to get it adopted. And so we've heard about a little bit about your origin story and about your goal. And as far as the present moment, if someone is curious about energy medicine, do you have an office in New Zealand? Do you have a physical location? How can someone visit you and experience this?
Yeah, that come to my clinic in Rotorua. It, I'm currently working out of a hostel, and it's a hostel for the homeless. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. So you find us under all sorts of stones. Yeah. So
And you
um,
mentioned about how it's flaky, so to speak. And so how does that work? Is it just a matter of like come in, pay for it, try it, and then see how it works? Like how do you present that?
well, someone will turn up and they'll say, "Oh, you know," and so I'll have to sit them down and actually touch them, because I've got to ask permission, of course. I said, "Look, I need to touch you. Is that okay?" And yep. And then all I'll do is generally hold their hand and ask specific questions. and their body, the response from their body will tell me. And to date, the first question is am I able to help you, this person? And to date, it's been positive with everyone,
Well,
So
very nice. And I
yeah,
noticed on your website that so you do in addition to what you've been speaking about with like there's like the buttons, there's also Bowen Therapy and PEMF. So can you explain what those are?
yeah. Well, Bowen Therapy is something that came from Australia. That was It was a man called Tom Bowen, and he had this magical gift that he, just by touching people, he could heal them, and crowds used to turn up at his clinic, and he's a much more brilliant man than I could ever achieve to be, but he could actually just look at them and know what he had to do. There's a story that I've heard that Tom would say, "You see that girl over there? She's pregnant and she doesn't even know it." That's a sort of that was his gift. So that's been taught all around the world now. That Bowen therapy. It's got different names in different countries, but it's all based on Bowen's work, and it's magic stuff if it's done correctly. If it's done correctly, it's magic. But again, it's a number of people. They learn bits of it, and so they think that they've got it. But it's so what's the word? To do it correctly, your location has to be perfect, your touch has to be perfect, and how you execute the process has to be perfect. Because people have been to see me and they'll say, "Oh no, I've tried Bowen, it doesn't work," and yet if I do something using Bowen, they'll say, "Oh, gee, that's good." But again, this is all new. But there's Bowen therapists all over the place, But so that's about Bowen. PEMF, that's magic stuff as well. That came from your country.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll heal broken bones. I've had broken bones healed in less than 2 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah, but that's all energy. See, PMF is all energy, and Bowen's energy as well, because it works with the energetic field of the body, So yeah, I found that those two things seem to like each other, because Bowen doesn't like many therapies, and a lot of therapies will undo Bowen, but it seems to well, it's been my experience that it gets on well with PEMF, So yeah.
Well, it's
So
good to know that these alternatives exist, such as the energy healing, Bowen therapy, PEMF. And in our final minutes of our conversation here, Paul, I wish I knew like the perfect ideal question to ask you. So is there a question that you wish I would ask you? And can we just pretend that I asked it and can you answer it?
I'm not sure, Robert. Look, anybody listening and they're not responding to normal treatments, they've just got to. I think one thing they could do is learn to dowse, right? That's dividing. Do you understand what dowsing or dividing is?
I haven't heard the term DAOs, no.
Right. You must have seen, how people use pendulums to get answers. You've never heard of that. It's
No?
well, this is a way of finding out things.
Okay.
It's pretty good for anything, but it's useless for trying to figure out lotto numbers. I tell you that. I've tried it on lotto numbers. It doesn't work on lotto
Okay.
numbers, but it seems to be good for asking questions. Now, someone in another part of the world, if they can't get better, they should actually find a dowser to actually find them a healer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or learn to douse themselves, and then because these healers, they're out there in the communities, but of course, a lot of the stuff people don't like to talk about. Well, they don't like to promote themselves as a healer because, I've had this where people look at you strangely. Um, so don't give up. Find yourself a healer because they are available. That's what I'd say is if you've got an illness, don't give up. Um, keep looking. There are people available, and genuine healers want to help. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, Robert. All this stuff is all new to me, so yeah, yeah. I hope I'm, I'm answering your questions okay.
You are. It's good to know what is available, right? And it's good to be open minded and just know that these sorts of people, such as yourself, exist for the kind of alternative ways of solving our problems. So that way we don't just take a pill or treat the symptom instead of the root cause. And so we know that your website is enhancedwellness.kiwi. And if someone is in the New Zealand area, what's the next step here? How do they go about booking an appointment or finding you?
Give me a ring.
Okay, simple enough. So enhancedwellness.kiwi, and then there's a contact us link right there with an email address, with a phone number. So call Mr. Paul G. O'Connor. And what should they be calling about? Just to explain their problems and see if you can help?
Pretty much, yeah. That's usually what happens. And as I said, and I'll if they're not there, let's say for some argument's sake, let's do an extreme case. Someone's calling from overseas because they don't want to turn up here, uh, waste of a plane fare. I'll ask them straight out, can I douse you? And I'll be able to tell them straight away whether I can help or not. Because dowsing is just so accurate, and so that's what I'll do. Just anyone who rings me, I'll just say, well, I'll need to douse you, see if I can help you, because I don't want you to waste your money coming to see me if I can't help you. So that's what I'll do. So yeah, I'll just
Okay.
give them a straight yes or no.
Yeah, and that's doable. That's harmless, right? Just have a conversation, see about possibilities, get the straight yes or no. And as people are going to enhancedwellness.kiwi and clicking on that contact us tab to contact Paul, you've experienced many things, right? You've been around the world, you've seen and learned so much. Is there a particular life lesson that stands out for you that you can pass on to us?
Life lesson is don't give up. Uh, don't give up because there's just keep the flame of hope alive. That's all. Keep the flame of hope alive.
I love it. They call that positivity and optimism and gratitude. Keep that flame of hope alive. And you can check out Paul G. O'Connor at enhancedwellness.kiwi. And also check out his book co authored with Pat Mesiti called The Path to a New You. And thank you very much, Paul, for educating us, telling us about what's possible. It is kind of a spooky subject to speak about, but it's always good to be educated and know what can be done. So thank you for being here and being generous with your time and honesty.
Okay, Rob. Cheers.